Hello and welcome back to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus, and with me as ever is Sebastian Keynes. We are here on the Forerunners server, and we are bringing you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back. All right, so before we get into today's news, there's a new feature that I wanted to try out today, and I had asked Arturos to grab a couple of comments from our previous videos or a previous video, last week's videos, just to kind of get some interaction between you and ourselves, and eventually, hopefully, we can actually make this a full interactive live type of podcast. But in the meantime, I just asked Arturos, let's just see what the community is saying, and then we'll answer a couple of questions before we get into the news. So, what did you bring?
Okay, so the first one was from Vesum. He loved the series we'd done on the artifacts and asked if we could spend a video going over the exclusive artifacts. And specifically, he was interested in seeing how and when certain artifacts take over from the generic artifacts. So, for example, you've got the Tear of Twilight. When is it replaced by on Karmet? When does his artifact become better for him? That's not one that I know the answer to myself, because I don't rate his artifact specifically because it's so it's so finicky around his ultimates. But for example, someone like Hex's artifact, the Sutra, or the Silas's artifact, which activates his Eye of Penetration more regularly. So ones like that is ones that we could probably do a bit of talk around and probably do some basic testing just to show off like where the sort of transition point is for these heroes.
That is something that I have been meaning to do, especially also with my channel in terms of content. I just haven't had the time, unfortunately, but at least we can gather some of the input from the community of those that have been lucky enough to summon of this exclusive artifacts and also have had the opportunity to level them. So I know from my experience, for example, arrogance, yeah, you want to use that artifact. He does more damage, especially when the burn is up. So just little things like that. And I know there's some other ones that, are not fairly talked about. So those are the ones that I wanted to focus on eventually. So yeah, that is something that we can do in the future. So thank you very much for the comment. We'll certainly take it and put it on the list, and we'll try to gather as much information as we can with the ones that have been released.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be in the next week or so because this is going to take a bit of preparation, but we'll definitely try and fit it in as soon as we can.
All right. So did you have another comment, or is this the top one?
That's one. The next comment we had was from Redwine. He took on board what we were saying about the Legendary Defender artifact and suggested that maybe Soulbound Rosary is used for Constance, which is probably a fair suggestion because it's boosting her attack and she's got quite a large health pool already. Losing 5% health at the top level when you've got a defender and you're generally putting fairly tanky gear on her probably is going to be okay, and you're boosting her attack by 40%. If you're boosting her attack, you're boosting her inspiration output. So I think it's probably a fair suggestion, and which probably should have picked up the hint from the Rosary and the Nut and the sort of the Paladin that the two went together.
Yeah, if early, mid, if you're lucky enough to, summon Constance, and then you have that legendary artifact while you're progressing, sure, you can slap that onto her. But I wouldn't invest too much mithril on it early on, unless it is something that you're convinced in the end game that is going to work better than the obelisk. I mean,
yeah.
But I think it's fairly now accepted now through the community that obelisk with the rage region, that's the one that's going to give us the bigger boost there. But I do understand that, and then she does have her exclusive as well. So we got already two that are a little bit more of a better artifact that are available in the game. No, like I said, early, mid game, if you have her and that's the one that you have, sure, use it. But remember, mithril is a hard economy to come by. I wouldn't push it to 25 if you're still progressing in AMR.
Yeah, absolutely. I have just got one maxed in my account just because I'm sitting on I'm at the stage of the game where I can actually start to stockpile mithril from selling mythics. So it does get easier to level them up over time. Those were the two sort of major comments that came out of last week's episode. And yeah, we'll look forward to more comments this week.
Yeah, post, especially after we go over today's topic. Feel free to post any comments, whether it's this video or this podcast or any of the other previous ones that you just maybe something popped into your mind. And if Arturo's team said that is something that we can cover, we will certainly bring it along. All right, let's go to the news. Very, very quiet week. We did have some changes, but there is some stuff that we can report that people can look forward to, especially in the global server. Okay, so now one of the changes that was made had to do with arena display optimizations is one, and of course they're adding items to the Apex shop.
Hello, Editor Arcturus here. One thing I forgot to mention when we started talking about the Apex shop was the fact that the new icon had appeared in the camp, and it's this one. This is going to be a new feature in the camp, and it's going to allow us to change the summon stone style. At the moment, there is one option. It's going to change to a golden tree, but that's not currently available, and it says it will be available within the Apex shop. As we get more information about this and are able to bring you a price, we'll bring it to you in another episode. Yeah, so one of the things they've added is this Apex Crystal Summoning Chest. It's effectively the cost of 2 wins in Overlord, and you can randomly get one of these items, which actually, for the cost of it, even if you break it down on a gem cost, if you're buying combat in Overlord, you're looking at maybe 20 crystals, 20 diamonds for and if you're lucky enough to get 2 wins, then you have 20 diamonds to one of these. So the economy is pretty good on that. I haven't bought one, but if you've got plenty of Apex coins and you're not saving up for the hero, who we will just talk about in a second because her name's changed, then yeah, it's probably not a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I haven't bothered spending my coins on it, the very few that I have on it. So, but it does look like you get shards for crystals, or you even have a chance. I don't know how slow it is, but you have a chance to get a divine crystal out of it. The other one is, so we kind of already went through the new season 5 map layout, but they're now also going to make sure that we get a little bit more rewards for actually running battles, doing our attacks, and getting our defenses set up. So I think that they just said that they were going to increase the rewards for MVP was one, and then anything in regards to personal contribution.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of that on because we're on Forerunners at the moment. We're in a rest week between seasons, and there's been a lot of setup to do with the maps. But we have had some changes recently where they increased the rewards for attacking the central keeps to try and encourage more people to take on the more challenging combat. And at the moment, I think the reward for MVP is like 150 guild coins, and I think they've realized that there's not that much to buy in the guild shop. So despite the fact they've added 2 new epic demons to the chest, to the upper stages, it's not really to try and encourage people to spend things, because by the time you bought and spent 800 on that, which the mythic artifact shards, then you're not really got a lot left over every week. So maybe they're trying to encourage people to spend a bit more of those their guild crystals in here.
All right, and then the other one had to do with the Void Rift. I don't know, maybe some people will welcome this. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but it was perceived to be a very difficult stage within the prologue, and it had to do with the deity Soliel stage.
It's the Epilogue stage. So what they've done...
it's the Epilogue.
I will just jump. I'll have it set it up to run, but I'm not expecting to win. But I'll show you the difference between what's currently on global and what's live now. So previously, you had to make sure that you placed your Lucius or non Star Piercer marksman there, so that they could reach the target. Now, what they've done is they've made a minor change in that the Soliel boss now comes forwards one more square. So there you go. He's just so you can see. So now she's come forward one more square. This means she's able to. You're able to attack without having a Star Piercer leader. They say they've changed it. In terms of the resistances on her, I have seen no difference. She still hits like an absolute truck. Her AoE in the second phase is still just as horrible. And I can't even get to the third phase, but I imagine it's still just as bad at that end too. So they've made some changes. I still can't beat it. I probably could if I spent some time thinking about it. But overall, it's not made a massive difference to me. And so I think it's going to be one for the long run. But yeah, they've basically made the Soliel boss come forward one more square on there, and then again here. So.
And in regards to the clarification of her skill descriptions, it's just I think they just added a sentence, right? That she's gonna move a little bit, or I didn't take a screenshot before, but if I do remember how it changed, it was just like an added sentence in one of the descriptions.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. I can't see. It's nothing particularly different from what I remember being there. So.
Yeah. So, but okay. So. Yeah, so very minor change to the stage, but whether when they say a reduced requirement for piercer physical damage, so you just think it's the fact that she now moves one tile in.
I have yet to see a significant difference with a non-piercer marksman. I tried Setram earlier, and he wasn't making the difference either. So he was just getting destroyed before and wasn't really shifting the damage bar on her at all. It's still possible to do a lot of damage with the infernal teams. If you're using the heavy infernal lord attacks, then it is possible to bring her down through phase 1, but that doesn't solve the problem for the later phases.
Yep. All right, so the other one is, I don't know if you collected it yet, but everybody now should be, especially if you played for over a year, you're going to get a 365-day login medal. So this is just something that they added for people to be able to showcase on their profile if they want to, that they've been playing for over a year.
Yeah, just 1 second, and I will go to it. I'm just waiting for my game to catch up. So if we come over to the Hall of Honor, there we go, 365 days of promises. That's what it is. It looks like a little calendar, and it says when you got it. So.
Yep, that's it. So that's it pretty much for change updates or patch notes, I guess, in terms of what we see here in the game. Of course, Global is still waiting for the major patch, and you never know, they might combine other features that they just decided to combine with the previous patch. So it should be a happy one once it does finally roll out and all the problems with Apple are resolved. Now, the other two things that I really wanted to cover really quick, Arturos, because it did kind of splash some news here with Watcher of Realms, was number one, this whole fiasco with the ultimate leaderboard in the global server, that people jumped to the conclusion that it was a bot or that Moontown had installed some type of test server account into the game and somebody was just running the points in there. So I guess from what I was able to discern when I joined Destin's birthday stream, which belated happy birthday there, Destin, that I was actually in the background listening to War Guides, Fastidious, Destin communicate with his fellow, and he was kind of explaining as to how he likes to approach the game. Fastidious then released a more detailed video on the matter, but I just found it really weird that people jumped to conclusions and they made such a havoc out of something that did not really seem to be that, I guess, malicious from my side because I've seen it with other games. I saw it with Raid Shadow Legends. If you go to Reddit, you can also see it with many other gacha games where somebody just starts out and decides to spend $50,000, and that's how they're going to play the game. Let them. And free to
Yeah,
play players should have been happy that somebody decided to spend for them.
yeah, and based on the conversations he had with Fastidious, it came out that he had previously played the game, got an account to level 60, and then gifted that account to somebody else. So how much he'd spent on that first account, we don't know, but certainly the guy says he's got money to burn, and this is how he wants to spend it. So it's, I mean, at the end of the day, we can compare it to some old examples of other people who've won the leaderboard, and it's not. I mean, it's a lot higher, but it's not significantly higher. So there's 60,000 difference in points between Nicholas. This was like the first Christmas event where there was an ultimate leaderboard, um, and this guy. So overall, it's a lot of money. But if that's how people want to spend their money, that's what they do. So I think at the end of the day, it's just nice to think back and say, wouldn't it be great just to have 50 grand that you can spend and not bat an eyelid?
Yeah, well, especially in that span of what, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however much time he spent clearing out the shop, right?
Yeah.
So, but then the other thing I think that because of I saw the behavior in the Discord is the person that was in second. That's the person that was really having a gripe with it. I think that they just they just decided that maybe they were going to go after that achievement, and all of a sudden somebody decided that they were going to be a bigger whale than that person this particular week,
Yeah.
and he just, he didn't expect it. He got pissed. He started spamming the Discord, and I found it weird that it was actually even a moderator for the Discord, and it was a content creator, and I don't know why he's still in the program because he explicitly went in there and accused Muntan of just cheesing the system. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it was a whole lot of nothing. This is not weird behavior. It's seen in many gotcha games.
Yeah, it's always going to be the way that it's. Yeah, if you can't imagine spending that much money, then you're going to assume that someone is cheating for some reason. Okay, I think that's
Okay, and
really
then
all there is to say on
that's
this.
fine. The other one is something that you ran across because you it came out on my feed, and then I eventually did watch the video, but you actually were kind of given a notification on that these whole arena boosting problems was still persisting, and somebody actually decided to make a video on it.
Yeah, just 1 second, and I'll jump over to it. Okay, so this video came out from Jay and Joe's account. It's just Joe and just Jay, and he's talking for like 10 minutes. So it's an awful long video for these guys. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll stick a link to it down in the description. And basically, he goes through his concerns about the fact that there are people who are basically gatekeeping the #1 slot on the Arena Discord. And they're basically saying there's a Telegram channel. You go in, you get your name on a roster, and you have to agree to boost other accounts. This was something that was spotted by a fellow guild member who's quite into his arena, and he spotted that within about 10 minutes of a server reset, there was somebody in Apex Overlord on the Forerunner server, which is an awful lot of battles when the population of the Forerunner server is very small. So there was something funky going on, and we didn't know what it was at the time. Now this does paint a pretty obvious picture as to what's happening. And yeah, it's not a great situation.
Okay, so what we're learning is that the blinding system is not working, especially with the leaderboard, correct? So that's one issue that they could probably resolve. And even further, maybe even blind the flag, blind the avatar, the border, everything. Maybe just make the matchup generate randomly. You don't know who you're going to go up against when you click start. Maybe that's one way to resolve the issue. The other thing that I was thinking about is that it could alleviate this. Just get rid of that top one avatar, eliminate it, get rid of the achievement. That would probably not incentivize people to do it, because at the end of the day, what are you going to have? A screenshot for it? All right. Congratulations. You can frame that and put it in your office if you want. The other thing I was going to say with it's I think it also happens in other games as well, but other games have timers or have locks, right? Where you are limited in the number of times you can attack a particular team in your page. Maybe that is something that Moontan wants to consider doing, that you cannot attack a team after 2 tries, maybe. Then you prevent
that
boosting,
was
right?
pretty much one of the suggestions which Jay came up, and he did only say they wanted to limit it to like the top 42 or something. The top 48 and the top positions 1 and 2 could do whatever they wanted to do, but the people below them could only get points by attacking a team twice and lose it. So you couldn't boost people that way.
All right. So as long as that there are guilds that form, that have the rosters and that can do this type of maneuvering for arena to make sure that everybody that joins that particular guild gets the top one avatar, they're going to do it. All right. For those of you that came from Raid Shadow Legends, you know that there was a guild already that did it there. So it's not a surprise that they're doing it here. And now it's just another group of people that decided we don't like the way that they're doing it. So we're going to counteract it. And we're going to form some type of team around it. So just remember, Top Guild in the global server, they have a way of doing things when it comes to arena to make sure that they boost people, and they will avoid trying to hit their guild mates during reset as well. So all of this can be resolved by like I said, put timer locks on it, blind it completely, and make sure that maybe the same thing doesn't show up in the page 2 times. And it's unfortunate, but somebody always has to ruin something when it comes to PP.
Okay, I think that's it for what we're going to do on the sort of the news and what's going on. Now, as a special treat, Sebastian is going to take us over to the test server to talk about some of the new heroes who are coming out in the game soon.
Yeah, so here we are in the test server, and yeah, they gave me permission to start showcasing some of these heroes, which I'll be doing here. We're on a vacation in the States, so it's gonna take me a little while to get things set up. But one of the first things that we did notice, Sanja got a name changed. Her kit hasn't changed it didn't change a whole lot. It was just a name. Now she is known as Lady Alexandra. And the other thing that I didn't notice regarding this hero is that they locked her behind Overlord rank. So if you have the coins, you have to make sure that you go into Overlord before you can get her. So that's something to keep in mind. Yep. The other thing is, in regards to her kit, everything that we know, especially about her, is that she will mark a unit and you activate her ultimate and she can snipe it anywhere in the map. So it's like a supercharged Hydro, and that's what she's been commonly referred to. So I don't know if you want to go over anything else, but she's been out now for at least in Forerunners. She's been out for a couple of weeks for us to view her at least.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who has her unlocked. I imagine we'll start to see her in probably end of September time at the earliest from the Super Wales on the Super Arena players. That we'll see something interesting there. But yeah, I mean, her story is pretty interesting. Her character, her figure is a bit of a washed out Hatsut crossed with Brienne, crossed with the crown of I don't know. It's a bit like the Helga crown, but reversed. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this kit. So we'll see.
Okay, so the other hero that has now been released in Forerunner servers, we have had some people summon him here. I already see him in AoE Arena, and that is Xaris. He is a cultist, a mage cultist, and of course, he does AoE damage. He has a very good range in terms of what we expect the mage to have. He essentially what he does is he's a summoner. He summons these souls of the damned, is what they calling him. It inherits 100% of the master's attributes and assists the masters in attacking the enemy, dealing AoE damage. And he can inflict the slow. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, you kind of already know that they made him for Gear Dungeon 1 as well, right? He has where's his cost here?
12. He's amazingly cheap.
12.
I mean,
Yep. He's very cheap. So I have seen him in AoE Arena. He's being spawned off very early to get the very early waves on and kind of give people time to bring in their ingrats if they have them, or set up like a Vakira or somebody else that has that long range. So he definitely is having an impact in the game already.
I think he's very much a use early and then watch him perform once, because his performance drop off. Because over time,
Yep.
during his ultimate, he will consume his souls, and that he doesn't generate new ones on a regular basis unless I've missed something in his kit. Because if he doesn't have any souls, he generates rage to go to his ultimate, and
Correct.
yeah, so he starts with 4, and it then goes down to 1 as a minimum. But yeah, he basically he can have a maximum of 5, and then the more he does his ultimate, he goes 4, 3, 2, 1, and then he'll only ever summon 1. So he's designed for short battles. I think is what you can say there. Even at his A1, where he's generating 5 right at the start. He's going to be, and his ultimate is almost instantly charged. Yeah, he's not going to be amazing for long battles.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes to the description that we had early on. He was just like a burst unit. You know, you could bring him in, do a little bit of burst, and then retrieve him. And that's exactly how I'm seeing him used in arena. He doesn't stay in the field too long, but eventually he does. If the battle goes too long, you get into stage 6. You see him come back into it, and that's how people are essentially using him in that condition there. The other hero that we've had a chance to play around here in the Forerunner server with, if we were lucky enough to get her in the 15X, is Numera. She is a piercer. She's a fighter. She has a very good range, actually, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's 4 tiles straight out, 2 on the side. So it's magic damage dealer. She does AoE damage. So based on what you and I went through on her kit, is the Nature Grasp allows her to place this kind of the root. It's a toxic root on you. That's through damage over time. And the other particular thing about her kit too is that in addition to will apparently detonate poisons. So you may want to bring poisonous to complement her to see if you can do a little bit more damage. And right away, the one area I was thinking where this might come into play, could it be AMR 21?
Potentially.
Or AMR 22, I should say.
22. You basically need someone with good range to do things. But from my reading of her kit, she's very much single target, and AMR has lots of targets, and you need to take them down pretty quickly. So I think that she's more focused on
one enemy at one time.
Yeah. So I don't think she's going to be great for AMR unless you're able to take those individual enemies down very quickly with a strong attack. But I think the fact that she's able to apply true damage, she's definitely going to have a root in the Icy Boreas. Obviously, there you got the opportunity to make that. You could probably come up with a blitz team for AMR 18. With her, you get the stacks out, get someone like Kook or Liam applying additional damage stacks onto the boss, and then you cause her ultimate and it explodes. So maybe something there, but we'll see. People will get clever with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then her ultimate's just about launching the spikes that deal damage 280% per. So based on her multiplier, we should see how hard she's hitting. I think our Immortal Codex is going to reset or just reset. We did not have the Arbor of Frost, so we didn't get a chance to see if she would maybe make a statement there. But I think that then over time, definitely we'll see where she's going to excel. I haven't had a chance to test her here on the test server. I did not summon her banner, so I did not test her with either one of the guild bosses either. So we'll see where she comes in handed. But definitely the piercers look to have added a good hero to the game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you could use her in a guild boss with a load of poison units, or even bringing Dahlia into the mix, because she's very effective at applying lots of stacks of poison to units. So yeah, there's definitely places that she can be used and used effectively.
Okay, if you allow me to stay within the Piercer faction, here is one of the new heroes that's going to be coming into the game is suddenly somebody that I want to test out, especially in Samra. That's Talula. So, okay, based on her kit, she will be summoning these butterflies. Essentially, they will go into an ally and start healing that ally, but at the same time, she will be dispelling debuffs as well, is from what I've seen here. And so the forest spirit, the butterfly waltz, will have 100% chance to dispel one debuff from each carrier every 2 seconds. So, okay. So her forest spirit, which grants every 2 seconds, restores HP based on the caster's max HP and the caster's attack for a defined time here for at least 8 seconds. But what is really neat about it is her spirit, her butterfly waltz will give you 100% chance to spell one debuff to at least 3 allies on the field. So we have a dispeller, somebody else that can complement the dispellers that we now have in the game. And in addition to that, she also will be granting to those that have the butterfly, will be granting them physical damage and magic damage reduction and restoring their rage 1% per second.
I think that would be really nice. I can't see if she can gain more than 3 butterflies, but if she could, that would be really, really cool. Because otherwise I can see it being quite limited in its effects. But yeah, I think it's nice to have additional healers, additional debuffers, and additional rage generators. Obviously, we've had Eloin, who's the queen of rage regen, and she also has a dispel. And there's Dasomi, who's got inspiration and dispelling capabilities. And Dasomi is fantastic at dispelling in Guild Boss. In Guild Boss 2. So it's really good that they're broadening this roster and they're not limiting it to just 1 or 2 heroes. I think it would have been nice if things had been done the other way around. But yeah, here we are.
So based on what you said there, whether there will be more butterflies being applied, I do not see that. Her A5 does give her more rage. So that probably would help a little. So when a butterfly returns to the hero, it restores 50 rage. So maybe that allows her to come back to the ultimate a little bit quicker. But her A3, it says that the Woodland Blessing Rage will give her...
Oh, it increases the rage regen per second by an extra 1%.
So I think that makes it 4%, 2% a second, as opposed to 1%.
Yeah, exactly. When a Brotherful lands on an ally, the ally restores 15% HP with the first awakening. So the second one is just additional healing effect, and the fourth one gives her rage regen. So auto rage regen. So no, it looks like 3 would probably be the limit. But can you get this ult at 800 to come back a little bit quick? Maybe not during the second or the third spray. Maybe it'll be hard to contend, but if she has very good healing, and you can sustain that part until Elowen or my den come back around, maybe you can make it work. She does convert 50% of her extra attack speed to healing effect, so maybe you can use her to sustain it, at least in the later rounds.
I'm still slightly worried by the butterflies, because if you've got lots of heroes and they all land on adjacent heroes, then there may be some of your units which aren't getting the butterfly dispel or butterfly healing during these particularly challenging stages. So I'll have to see it used and tested, but I think there's a degree of randomness which could limit her usefulness. She's a very pretty character. Those wings are fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. This is not, how would I phrase this? It's not somebody that I would say, okay, I'm gonna dump $200 right away to get her. She does look very nice in terms of complementing the faction. She might even speed up the faction trials 10 to 12 too, getting that cobweb off you. But the spider web off you. But I mean, she will be there to complement the roster that you need to at least combat Semra, whether it's 1 or 2, and you're trying to progress through it. So we need it. We need more dispellers in this game. Like I tell you, I'm just hoping that maybe there'll be that one day that we get the one that blocks the poison from being placed on you. Maybe that's in the future, but this is how they want to approach it right now. It's just getting rid of the venom, the poison, anything that comes on you. All right, then the other one. This is I'm gonna probably butcher it. Beelzebub.
I think it's supposed to be Beelzebub.
Beelzebub. Beelzebub. Okay, I like your pronunciation better. Beelzebub. He is a mage. He's in the cultist faction. You can kind of tell by the design of him that he is meant to be a little bit of a cultist. He is being besides his ability. Okay, so besides his ability of doing AoE damage and being able to apply magic damage vulnerability, and his putrid flies apply slow to the enemy. Guess what? We have another hero that can kind of give us inspiration due to his passive. Here, fully skilled, it actually applies 50% inspiration to the allies in the hero's range, okay? And then reduces the attack interval as well on allies that have the putrid flies next to them by 30%. When I went through the awakenings, I think it was, let me see here. So the first one gives us the vulnerability inflicted by the plague of ruin increases to 20%. In the 8-3, when the basic attack deals damage, the target restores now 2% rage. And on the fifth one, if the target revives 3 instances of the Plague of Ruin within 3 seconds, they will then take 1 additional instance of true damage, equal to 100% of the caster's attack. 4 and 2 are just extra base attack and
cost reduction.
You get, cost reduction. So at least from the way that I was reading the kit here, restoring 2% rage on him. He's getting inspiration. Then he gets these flies out and applies slow with his ultimate. With the additional inspiration, how long it takes, compare this to Dolores as well. And then the other thing that I was telling you about too that I'd noticed is his attack, his base attack. It's 2307. It's actually lower than Dolores's.
Yeah.
So you when you and I were talking a little bit about this previously, you went through the math so quick, but at the end, I think in my head it just sounded you may want to still stick with Dolores because of the cost as well. If that's something that you want to take into consideration, his is only 10. But it seems to me like maybe if you just wanted to bring him in as a support mage with the inspiration, maybe you wait to kind of tool him like that until you get him to 8-3.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's only been one other mage who had 2307 as a legendary, and that unit then boosted their attack by their skills. They boosted it by 30% just through playing, and then there was an opportunity to gain 50% attack during their ultimate, and this doesn't have that.
No, definitely not.
Again, it's looking a bit on the low side. I mean, 2307, you could probably capping out around 12,000, maybe 13,000 on if you go full attack gear. There is the option to obviously he's doing damage, whereas she isn't. She's only doing her tickle heal and applying inspiration. He's applying damage and true damage at that, especially when you get into his later awakenings. So I kind of guess he's a different utility. They didn't want to go straight inspiration, but the inspiration period is the same, 22 seconds. The cost is a bit higher. The survivability will be better because he's legendary, so he'll have a higher health pool. So whereas on her, you need to make sure that you're getting a couple of HP substats. Here you can focus more on rage regen and attack speed. So it's a different utility, but we'll see what comes out as people start to use him.
So based on how I'm seeing him and how you can probably use him with the rest of your cultists, you could probably give him a spin, depending on how much damage he can do as well. That's the other thing. Give him a spin in GD1, Gear Dungeon 1, and I think he might have a play in AMR 22, especially if you team him up with like a Vierna or a Morrigan, somebody that is doing damage alongside with him, because he can deal damage to multiple units up to 10, and he has the magic damage vulnerability. So. Yeah. Maybe that's kind of the areas of the game where he's going to be showcased a little bit.
Yeah, that does sound like an interesting use for him.
So we'll see. I'll give him a like I said, I'm going to try to give as many of these heroes a spin here after our break is over with, and we can start publishing some of the. You can start putting together some of these compilations. The other hero here, I really like the design of her. I don't know what it is about it, but this Inferno fighter. Sorry, it's an Inferno fighter called Xena. I don't know if we're going to get into copyright problems here in the future. They're going to have to change her name, but we'll figure that out. Maybe they got permission on it, but that's who she is. And essentially what I got her out of her kit is she will increase her attack by 20%, damage reduction by 30% for 10 seconds. She can also inflict the burning. So we have another burn unit here with the Infernos. And as you can see here with her range in her ultimate, it's essentially straight down the line, 3 tiles. So you're going to have to make sure that you deploy her adequately if you want to use that. And activates, let's see, so it increases the attack by 30%. So I have everything fully skilled here. So you have to take that into consideration. And critical damage by 30%. Each attack deals 150% damage to 5 enemies in that range. And then the fewer target hits, the higher the damage dealt, up to 300%. So if you only have 3 units, then that means that those 3 units are going to get a little bit more damage instead of the total here on the top. This skill can only be triggered 1 time per deployment, though. So you have to withdraw her after it sounds like you have to withdraw her after you use the skill if you no longer need her. So that's certainly something that we can look into. Let me make sure what's her cost. So her cost is
60.
17. Her redeployment time is still 60 though. So it does sound like a one-time use. Especially if you have the enemies lined up adequately. Her callus. Oh, yeah, just go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a shame that they're limiting the ultimate activation on a unit who's such a long deployment time. I guess you could throw Volker into the team and bring that down to 45 seconds, but even so, that's still a long time. And can you just go back to the ultimate? What's this?
Yeah, sure. So it's 25 seconds.
Okay,
so you get the burst for 25 seconds, and then that's it. So you either can. I don't think that based on the damage that he does with the rest of her kit is even worth keeping her. So you just kind of plop her down. She does what she needs to do. Get her back out.
Yeah. I can't carry. I mean, I can't really think of where to use her at the moment. I'm sure there's something coming. They generally release heroes. There's going to be somebody use them.
Yep.
But
that's what I was thinking too. So if it's not going to be like an AMR centric hero, let's just say hypothetically, right? Maybe we can find a use for her there. But if then you know that there might be something down the pipeline where there's just going to be things lining up in a line, and then maybe this is the hero you want to bring in and just do the quick placement, get her back out. Maybe, as we know, there's another rotation where the same thing is going to happen, and you have to bring her back in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stage in Void Rift Epilogue. I think the first stage in Void Rift Epilogue where you've got some of those spear chucker guys coming in down one side of the map, and there's a single tile there where things are lined up and they're coming towards you. She could be used there, but her kit reads like an ancient summon. She doesn't feel like a regular pull.
Yep. No, exactly.
So there's something coming where she's going to be used. At the moment, I don't know what it is.
And so,
yeah.
Okay, and then her passive, Callous Flames. When she attacks units inflicted with burning, she deals extra damage. But here's the other caveat to this as well, is that the more stacks of burning that they are, the more damage she will inflict. So this is something that you can put together with somebody like her counterpart in the faction in Anai, where Anai comes in, applies her burns, you bring her in, plop her, deploy her, get the damage that you need, bring her back out. And then lastly, and the other passive, the Infernal Passion, every time you bring her back into the field, she gains damage by 15% for each deployment, and that can stack up to 4 times. I am curious to know which battle is going to last that long, but if we can bring her up to 4 times, then you can certainly expect her damage to rev up.
Yeah, because you're not going to be using her in Semra because of the penalties for respawns.
Yes. Yep. No.
Yeah.
This is not a boss hero. This is somebody for something that is coming down the pipeline where just things are going to be lining up. It's just too many enemies to possibly contend with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lastly, the other hero that I really wanted to focus on here with you, and I left him for last because I really think he's going to be the more demonic one of all the heroes that we have. He is dual designation, my friend. He's a watchguard and a nightmare. Okay. The other thing, at least from the rumors that I'm hearing, I don't know if you're hearing the same thing.
Yeah.
This is going to be a limited time hero, Kigiri.
Yeah, that matches up with what I've seen from the videos that are going out. They're suggesting that he is going to be the next limited hero, guaranteed 250 summon. I'll let you talk through his kit.
Okay, let's start with the sweeping strike because I think that this is what makes his ultimate pop a little bit. So he dashes towards the target direction and performs one sword drawing dash, is what he says. You'll see this by the animation. And deals 100% AoE damage one time up to 5 enemies in the path. So the enemies have to be in his path. You want to look at his path? There is that one strike right there. Yep. Okay, it's just the one time. But I'm going to show you the ultimate. You're gonna get a kick out of this. All right, so that's the path. His path. Just keep that in mind. Then deals 181 time to the target with the highest current HP. Immune to all damage during that. Okay, so then during the ultimate, every 40 seconds. Let's see here. He can launch. Yeah, he can launch the sweeping strike every 40 seconds during the ultimate. Each time the basic attack deals damage, it reduces the cost of the sweeping strike by 1. The AoE damage of the sweeping strike and the Ember Strike. That's another kind of feature that he brings. Inflict bleed. The Ember Strikes again dashes towards the target, dealing AoE 200%, 240% AoE damage one time, up to 6 units within the pass, deals 480% damage 2 times to the target with the highest current HP. Okay, here we go. Here's what. Oh, let's even add more on top of that. The additional damage ignores 50% defense and dispels 1 buff.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So we're ignoring defense too. Okay. I'm gonna save the ultimate for last. Deals 120% damage to one enemy one time with his basic. His flow state essentially is his parting during the tranquil reflection increases attack by 30% for 30 seconds. So he kind of gets an attack boost. During the swallow counter, so this is when the sweeping strike and the Ember Strike are activated, there is a 25% chance to immediately launch a identical strike in the opposite direction. The strike cannot trigger the effect again. All right. So he can go backwards, it sounds like.
You're right.
All right. Here comes the ultimate, and he comes his range.
Oh.
And he can go in the opposite direction as well. All right. Here we go. So. It lifts the blade and prepares to launch the attack, the sweep and strike, after up to 8 excuse me. The blue is okay, up to 8 seconds. When receiving direct damage, while the slush, parries the damage and launches the extra sweeping strike early. If parry is triggered within 3 seconds of gathering that the sheath state, he then launches the Ember Strike. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, so that's really cool. So basically, you see the enemies coming in, you immediately activate his ultimate. He sheathes his sword, and then as they hit him, they'll immediately unsheath the Ember Strike and then do the bonus 240% big attack. Cool.
Exactly. So he does the sweeping, right? He does the sweeping, and then if it is triggered within those 3 seconds and does the Ember, does an additional damage to it. And you then, if you have this passive trigger, right, then he can attack units behind you. So this guy looks, I don't want to say busted right yet because I have to see him in action. I'm going to have to ask Mortar Mike to set up a GvG defense with this guy because I want to see his interaction, especially when this thing becomes activated. Because look at the cooldown or how much how much of a rage you need. And it lasts for 8 seconds. But if he does as much damage as you think he can, and you can regenerate his rage as fast as this says, he's going to be could be a little bit of a menace to contend with.
Absolutely. That's 600 is really low for a fighter. And it looks like he's going to
Yeah.
strike really, really hard. And with a rage regen unit somewhere in the squad, then you're going to have some brilliant opportunities for getting that cycling.
He has 26,000 HP as base, so he's a little bit tanky, I guess you could say. Attack is already at 6470, so we'll have to see that. His cost is 17, and his redeployment time is the same.
Yeah.
Right now, his attack in was at 2.6 seconds, so you could possibly bring this down a little bit. And I didn't see anything else, like wow, in terms of his base stats. But he does have a little bit of high attack, so that's something that we can look at. Let's look at his awakenings here. That's something I haven't looked at. So here, when A1 basic attack additionally restores 3 rage and 5% HP.
Wow.
Okay. Awaken 3. Oh man, here's another paragraph. Ready? Okay. Within 15 seconds after the sweeping strike is activated, each direct damage dealt inflicts additional damage 1 time equal to 35% of the direct damage. Within 10 seconds, within 10 seconds, after the Ember Strike is activated, each direct damage deal inflicts additional damage 2 times, each time equal to 25% of the direct damage.
I would love to know how that interacts with Torador's leader skill, who does additional damage 1 time.
Yes. Oh man. I'm gonna note that down. I might, if I have time to test that, I'll test it. But yeah, okay. So Torador's leader skill. Yep, you got it. Just from this, though.
Yeah.
Just from this, it sounds like you could wail on the banner if you wanted to.
Yeah. That's going to be, I think that could mess with single target arena.
Well, we have Ingrid causing havoc in AoE and the air, so why not bring somebody else to change?
Well, no, because then you'll just have Ingrid in single target arena who's doing 50% true damage every time that she's hit a target, and everyone's getting boosted damage because she's hit them.
Oh man, that's just sick. Okay, his last awakening, the sweeping strike and the ember strike launched during the tranquil reflection will always trigger swallow counter. So the move behind. So that percent chance is gone. It's 100%. So you're going to be able to hit anything around you with this range. Look at that range. My God.
Yeah,
he's going to be a fun hero to test out. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to be a really interesting one. I personally think you shouldn't be able to deploy him with Lucius because Lucius is a demon hunter. This guy is a half demon. Definitely some rivalry going on there.
Lucius kind of turns into a demon himself, though, doesn't he? Or he just getting demon powers?
Yeah, I need to read his story again, but it doesn't seem right that you've got a demon hunter and a demon on the same team.
Right. Oh, okay. We got to fight next to each other from now, but just wait when we're done. So, yeah, that's kind of the new cast, the new heroes that are coming down the pipeline. Numera and Xaris were supposed to already be, or Xaris were supposed to be already in the game, but of course, the thing with the update happened. Forerunners already have them, so we can actually summon them from the standard pool if we're lucky enough to get them there. But the 4 new ones are the ones that we're going to be focusing on here in the future, and everybody's making videos on. So.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to join you on the test server for this preview. It's been really interesting to see these characters and get some real first impressions of the kit, because I knew that they were coming, but I hadn't actually caught up on much of what these new heroes were. So it's really interesting to see what's coming, and hopefully we can do this again in future.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what else comes down in the pipeline. I'm really looking forward to. So in my Forerunner account, I'm looking forward to add him. So I'm going to try to save up for him. He's the one that intrigues me the most right now. As always, for anybody watching, listening to this, please feel free to comment below what you thought of the heroes that we kind of showcase here. Looking forward to get. Who are you planning on going for more specifically? Who is going to help you more in your account? You never know. We might pick up your comment to highlight in the next WoRs Going On episode. Until then, thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you all next week.
Thanks very much.